Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I just went and grabbed the two Melody Beatty books, and I looked at the meditations for today, just the titles of them, and they're both very similar, but the one in the language of letting go is much longer. But I'm feeling like maybe, which one should I read? I think I'm going to read the one in the language of letting go. I don't know why, but my gut just tells me I'm going to need to hear this one today. Okay, so December 27th, let's get to it. Oh, that's the 29th. We don't want to hurry that far ahead. Okay, near the top, December 27th. I know you're tired. I know you feel overwhelmed. I feel like I read this one. I can remember reading this one last year. I know you're tired. I know you feel overwhelmed. You may feel as though this crisis, this problem, this hard time will last forever. It won't. You are almost through. You don't just think it has been hard. It has been hard. You have been tested, tried, and retested on what you have learned. Your beliefs and your faith have been tried in fire. You have believed, then doubted, then worked at believing some more. You have had to have faith even when you could not see or imagine what you were asked to believe. Others around you may have tried to convince you not to believe in what you were hoping you could believe. You have had opposition. You have not gotten to this place with total support and joy. You have had to work hard in spite of what was happening around you. Sometimes what motivated you was anger, sometimes fear. Things went wrong. More problems occurred than you anticipated. There were obstacles, frustrations, and annoyances en route. You did not plan on this being the way it would evolve. Much of this has been a surprise. Some of it has not been at all what you desired, yet it has been good. Part of you, the deepest part that knows truth, has sensed this all along. Even when your head told you that things were out of whack and crazy, that there was no plan or purpose, that God had forgotten you. So much has happened, and each incident, the most painful, the most troubling, the most surprising, has a connection. You are beginning to see and sense that. You never dreamt things would happen this way, did you? But they did. Now you are learning the secret. They were meant to happen this way, and this way is good, better than what you expected. You didn't believe it would take this long either, did you? But it did. You have learned patience. You never thought you could have it, but now you know you do. You have been led. Many were the moments when you thought you were forgotten, when you were convinced you had been abandoned. Now you know you have been guided. Now things are coming into place. You are almost at the end of this phase, this difficult portion of the journey. The lesson is almost complete. You know, the lesson you fought, resisted, and insisted you could not learn. Yes, that one. You have almost mastered it. You have been changed from the inside out. You have been moved to a different level, a higher level, a better level. You have been climbing a mountain. It has not been easy, but mountain climbing is never easy. Never. Now you are near the top. A moment longer and the victory shall be yours. Steady your shoulders, breathe deeply, move forward in confidence and peace. The time is coming to relish and enjoy all which you have fought for. That time is drawing near, finally. I know you have thought before that the time was drawing near, only to learn that it wasn't. But now the reward is coming. You know that too. You can feel it. Your struggle has not been in vain. For every struggle on this journey, there is a climax, a resolution. Peace, joy, abundant blessings, and reward are yours here on earth. Enjoy. There will be more mountains, but now you know how to climb them, and you have learned the secret of what is at the top. Today I will accept where I am and continue pushing forward. If I am in the midst of a learning experience, I will allow myself to continue on with the faith that the day of mastery and reward will come. Help me, God, understand that despite my best efforts to live in peaceful serenity, there are times of mountain climbing. Help me stop creating chaos and crisis, and help me meet the challenges that will move me upward and forward. I love this meditation so much, and I almost got a little teary-eyed at the beginning of it because I was thinking about this day this year that I remember very clearly, and it was, I believe it was the first meeting back that I went back to my home group this last year. And the night before, Tucker had been, our dog Tucker had been very lethargic. And we were both like very worried about him. And he had like the week before, we had taken him in for testing and things like that. And we were waiting for some test results and whatever. But the night before, he just was acting super lethargic, and I had noticed that he'd been sleeping on the stairs a lot, throughout the day and whatever, like the stairs over there, and he just didn't really he wasn't himself, and Boo Radley was like running around, and he just didn't, want to interact with him. And so I went to my meeting that night, and in my meeting, I was talking about difficult times. Yeah, this has been a tough year, I mean, I think for a lot of people, this has been a tough year. And I was talking about getting through tough times. Now, when I share this story, I want you to know that, whatever you believe in, apply it to that. But there's this, and I think I've talked about this on here before, because it really was probably one of the most powerful moments I've ever had in my sobriety, learning this and applying it to different areas of my life. And so I was sitting there, and somebody was telling me about this thing in recovery. Like there's these people that interpret the basic text of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they were telling me it was called the wheelbarrow analogy. And the wheelbarrow analogy is this guy, and he's like in the Grand Canyon, right? And he's got this like tightrope, and he gets in this tightrope. There's like another guy there, and he gets in this wheelbarrow and goes across the tightrope and comes back. And he's looking at this guy, and he's talking to him, and he says, "Do you believe that I can go across this tightrope in the wheelbarrow?" And the guy says to him, I'm like, I get chills like even saying this, because it just was like this moment for me that just like completely clicked. And he said, well, of course I believe that you can do it. I just saw you go across the tightrope on this wheelbarrow. And the guy looks at him and says, do you have faith that I can go across the tightrope in the wheelbarrow? And the guy looks at him and goes, I mean, I guess you have faith. I have faith. And the guy looks at him and says, get in the wheelbarrow. And I came out of the meeting that night, and Alex had like texted me a bunch, and I don't have my phone on when I'm in meetings. And so I didn't see until I got out that he had texted me and called and said that like Tucker had really taken a turn for the worse. And so, Tanya's husband brought me home, and when I got home that night, Alex, I can't remember even how I got home that night, but anyway, Alex and we went to, because I was like, please wait for me to get home so we can go. We went to the emergency vet, and she was so sweet, and, and so then, that was the night that, that was our last night with Tucker. And it was such a difficult night, and I remember coming home, and like I was taking Boo Radley outside, and I was like standing outside with Boo Radley, and I was thinking about the wheelbarrow analogy. And I had gotten into this routine of getting up every morning and drinking my coffee and sitting on the front porch and doing my meditations and doing my prayers and doing my gratitude list. Like I had really, really been strict about that, like that was something like I was to the point where I was doing it for like a half an hour a day and really thinking it through and everything, right? And I was going through these processes of doing this, and I was, praying at night and doing a gratitude list at night. But I really wasn't having conscious conversations with my higher power. And it was really kind of a difference between believing and having faith, which I do believe there's a huge difference, no matter what you believe in. I do believe that believing in something is, I think we all want those kind of like moments where we can see it exist. And I think that having faith is getting in the wheelbarrow. And it was that night, I had all these things that I was unsure of in my life. And it was that night that I was like, okay, God, I'm putting myself in the wheelbarrow. Because I didn't know what else to do, And I had all these difficult things come my way. And I just was like, I don't know what other options I have at this point, you know, other than to put myself in the wheelbarrow. And so that was my attitude going forward. And like I say, you know, like I'm not a perfect example of that all the time. You know, sometimes I need to be reminded of the wheelbarrow, you know, and do you truly have faith that, you know, your higher power is like leading you or has a plan, you know, because I do believe that. And it doesn't necessarily always, like this book was talking about, like the journey doesn't always make sense to me sometimes. You know, the journey can be confusing, you know. I have 15 different journeys that I have going on at the same time over the last 20 years. You know, some of them don't make sense to me at all. Some of them I don't understand, you know, and yet they exist. Maybe someday they'll make sense. Maybe someday they won't. I don't know, you know. I know that I've stopped questioning it, and because this is how I feel about it, okay? And this is kind of just to people that I think do have a higher power. If I'm gonna have a higher power, it's like I have to have faith. It's like, you know, when you're in a relationship and people say, like, if you're going to be in a relationship, you have to trust the other person. And like for years, like I had such a hard time with that. Like 30 years ago when I had boyfriends and whatever, it's like, you have to trust them if you're in a relationship. No, you don't. You know, it's like today I know, like, that's kind of true. Like, you know, if you're in a relationship, if you bring something to my door, then I have to deal with it, right? But like if I'm going to be in a relationship with you and I'm going to love you and we're going to, you know, have a good relationship, then yes, I do think that trust is important in that, right? Well, if I'm going to have a relationship with my higher power, then I think that faith is a huge part of that. And that I have to be, and the only reason I'm sharing this today is because I do believe that there are a lot of people out there that waver between belief and faith, and I think that there's a huge difference. And faith for me was just like, kind of like, okay, let's step off the Grand Canyon, and I guess you have me, God, you know? I guess you have me, and I have to have faith that you know what's best for me. And that's hard, you know? That was really difficult for me to get to that point. And it all changed on that night when I heard that, you know, so I wanted to share that with you guys. But this was a great meditation. So anyway, let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.